brought this up of letting go is similar to letting be, just like letting things be. Sometimes when we let go, we try to push things away and try to get them out of our psyche. But one of the great non-dual freedoms that comes from Kundalini awakening is the letting go of needing to know why, letting go of needing to know like what all the little details of life are about, or the little stressors, or but just letting go of this whole mental orientation of needing to know why or how, or just these unanswerable questions. And it's a great gift when our human mental mind starts to break down and just doesn't need to know why any longer. Actually, one of the grand hallmarks of liberation. And then these greater truths come online, these greater truths of forgiveness, of freedom, of spaciousness. Greg also spoke about this aspect of just like little moments of liberation throughout the day. And really on the path, like most of the path is going to be made up of this, of the 1,000,001 opportunities throughout the day to soften more, to soften more. And there's even been times when I was like holding my fork and I realized I'm like gripping this fork like a death grip, but it was really, I had so much stress in my life. Just the stress was, somehow just like I was kind of just like pushing it into my hands, just like because I was trying to push it away from my body, and I just got it all the way down to the fork. But it's just like gripping this fork. And one day I just looked at the fork and I opened my hand and let the fork drop and just realized, like, hey, Craig, hey, son, you don't need to fight. You don't need to grip. You don't need to hold on. And so often, like, I talk to this physical body, like my mind, again, is really clear. Emotional nature's just, feels wondrous. But this body, sometimes it just gets confused. And so there's all these little ways that we let go. And sometimes it's how you're holding the steering wheel. Sometimes it's, how quickly you eat your food. My teacher used to just hound me for years because, sometimes he'd cook me lunch and I would eat my lunch in about 35 seconds, and he would sit there and eat it over the course of, a half hour. We'd have a half-hour lunch break, me and my teacher together, and I just swallow my food down. And he was like, Craig, just like slow down, relax. And I had just this drive in me that was always like, you got to get back to work. You got to keep moving. But it's because there was an anxiety there. And so Greg speaks about this, that there's all these ways throughout the day where we can just take a mindful moment, and just, I don't really believe in mindful moments. We need to live in mindfulness all the time in a space of freedom. But we take these little mindful moments when we're rushing throughout the day and realize I'm rushing. That's not going to work with, this amount of Kundalini that's flowing through my body. You can't have a freight train of light and rushing. We must have a body that's full of ease. That's full of ease. And so all throughout the day, I like to think of it just having like a gentle discipline, a gentle vigilance. And the key word there is gentle. And to really soften all day long. And just to notice the habitual nature of the body, the fascia in the body. Like sometimes it just gets stuck in tension. It's like, okay, I need to work to relax this. And as you begin to breathe, you might notice, kriyas start flowing. And that's where, like, the Divine Mother, she's coming into you, or Shakti's coming into you, and moving and opening and emptying and breaking up tension, and actually creating a greater sense of liberation throughout the body. And so that's little liberation. Now, on a grand scale, well, I also believe in, and I also demand, an immense liberation. And Greg spoke about, like the liberation of Yogananda and this and that. By this and that, I mean, but any great master who's ever written about their realization, is there tends to be these moments in life when there is an extraordinary explosion of spaciousness, of light, of freedom, and it creates big shifts in one's consciousness. And of course, we can't force these explosions to happen, but one of the things that I did to support, this movement was I kept going on retreat. And when I kept going on retreat, I tended to have these big, explosive experiences of liberation that just went on and became my life. And by that, I mean, they just didn't end. They just didn't end. And so whatever exploded open, like the first time I was just driving to go on a retreat with Aja, this explosion happened and it never ended. It never ended. It just kept opening and opening and opening. And on this path, we're going to find that we need both. We need these big breakthrough awakenings, but we also need to support that with 1,000,001 ways throughout the day when we're letting go. Individuals who just have big openings, but who don't follow it up with real life practical change, tend to shut down again. This is a common thing on the spiritual path. We might have a big opening, but we don't change our life. We don't live the yogic lifestyle. We're not living in alignment with truth. And so we need to do both. And that's the paradox of this world, is there are moments where we open to the absolute. And of course, the absolute is always here. But we need to find a way to embody this by falling into alignment with the absolute. Okay. And so I just really wanted to acknowledge that, because that's a pretty big deal on this path. And Kundalini always is waiting for these moments within you to explode open. And for so many of us, these moments come when we get out of the way. And we get out of the way. And I can actually say that, when my big first, like say, transcendent awakening happened, it started off as a little moment. I was just I was driving through the San Luis Valley, and this is a valley that's like, that you could fit some New Eastern states in. It's just like, it's a massive valley. So beautiful, this place. I just love it so much. One of my favorite places. And I was driving, up and over Wolf Creek Pass, this big mountain pass. And I was just thinking about this terrible, toxic relationship I was in. And I was tripping over a little moment of liberation where I looked up at God and I said, God, what am I supposed to do with this relationship? And God said, let go. And there was just this little thing in me that said, okay. But in that little moment, well, it turned into a big moment. And since that little moment, my life has been forever changed. Forever changed. And so I'm going to encourage us just to support all these little moments of letting go. And you might be surprised that little moment might turn into something immense. Something immense.